First Glance with Jody Vance. I'm very excited to welcome our next guest on a subject matter that is important to each and every one of us. In some way, shape, or form, connectivity is at the center of our lives. There is no question. And Nuran Wireless is on the cutting edge of technology and access in a way that must be discussed, and certainly something that might hit your portfolio in a very happy way. The president and CEO is Francis Létourneau. He joins us now from Quebec. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you for the first time. Thank you. Your intro is perfect. I never did it that way, and I liked it. So
well,
yeah,
you're bang
on. You're bang on.
I like to be a little bit different, and yet at the same time, bang on the head of the nail. But with this one, I think certainly over the last couple of years, connectivity has never been more important to every single person, no matter where one might live. But with Nuran Wireless, NUR, by the way, on the Canadian exchange is the stock symbol,
yes.
N as in Nancy, U-R. You are, tell us what you're doing and where.
Yeah, so first of all, we started by developing a technology that allow connectivity into small population village, like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people village. And we did it on purpose because economically speaking, it was tough to connect those people, especially in the bush. Let's say it the way it is. In the bush in Africa or somewhere else in the world, in emerging market, it was tough because you need to put together a financial model that works with $2 or $3 revenue per user per month. So wow. You needed to deploy or develop a technology that allow you to do so, which we did. But we found out throughout the last couple of years that just selling the product was not enough, because CapEx for the large telcos were going into urban areas, 4G, 5G, IoT, every buzzword that everybody's been hearing about in the last couple of years. But connecting the unconnected was not part of their focus. Why? Because it was too CapEx demanding for low return. So we developed the technology that allow us to do so, but they needed us to do the one more step in order to connect those people, which is the finance. So we have developed a not only the technology, but also a business model, disruptive business model that allow us to share the revenue of the end user together with the low CapEx infrastructure that we're putting in place. So we now have like a 10-year contract running, recurring revenue, driving value for our shareholder, because when you sell CapEx, it's a one-off, you're gone. Thank you very much. Your product is good, and we'll call you if we need some more. But when you are in a 10-year contract mode, so you have recurring revenue, so you can scale, have a scaling predictable model, so it's easier. So that's why it's creating a lot of value for our shareholders, but also a lot of value for connecting people that has not been connected before. COVID has shown us that connection is extremely important. Those live connection, we've been living on Zoom or on a Teams call or Skype call for the last couple of years, for the last 2 years, and we know how important it is to remain connected. So this is what we've decided to do for living.
And pardon me, I'm a novice. I'm an interviewer, not a markets expert, and certainly not a communications expert in the sense of your industry at Nuran Wireless. But I do understand the importance of wanting that connectivity to be able to live your life and do your business, but also wanting to invest in things that might have that altruistic sort of piece to it as well. People more and more are looking for, how do I help with the people who perhaps don't have what I have? And this hits, that piece of an investment lane, if you will.
ESG. So this is the social impact of what we do has also been centric to our mission, or I would say our speech for the last couple of years. And this is how we've been able to attract a European investment bank to the project that we have today. We announced last week an approval of a $18 million loan from the European Investment Bank with the second DFI, Development Financial Institution, matching this 18 million with 9 million additional. So it's a 27 million US deal that we just
Wow.
got approved. And that was just based on the mission that we have, which is over and on top of the business itself, we're changing lives of people. So this is what we're doing, and this is the mission of those financial institutions. They want to change things. They want to create infrastructure in those emerging markets, and this is what it's all about, and we're right in the middle of it. So for those investors who like the feel-good type investment into environmental, social governance type investment, we are bang onto those things. And one of the critical criteria for investing for those large organizations was that we are ticking all of those boxes, Jody.
I think that's excellent. That's an excellent piece of this story for me. Anyway, Francis, we're with Francis Létourneau, the president and CEO of Nuran Wireless. NUR is the stock symbol on the Canadian exchange. And you just mentioned that piece of news, those loans secured, certainly not an insignificant number, but also a big piece of news with regard to where you are putting this into practice, especially with regard to the Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast is a new contract that we recently announced. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. So too many things happening in one day, Jody. So yes, 1,000 additional sites that lead us to have over 4,000 sites under contract today. The total contracts value with MTN and Orange that we have signed up to today is over $700 million US. So it's $1 billion Canadian in terms of contract valuation. So yes, it's huge what we are achieving, and we're not finished. We have a 5-year objective of building 10,000 sites in 5 years. And it will be done through debt package that we will be bringing at the African level with different groups, and we have a lot of interest to invest in this thing. And of course, MTN, which is one of the largest telco in the world, they have over 200 million subscribers. 8 million for TELUS here in Quebec. Of course, they're not living on the same incomes per month per subscribers, but still 200 million subscriber plus Orange. So those big giant have a huge confidence in Nuran to deliver their obligation to meet the regulator license obligation. So, and it's Nuran that is centric to this. So we are not lucky because we worked hard, but we are crossing the bridge now. We are at an inflection point for the company, financing all of those contracts, and we now need to deploy and to deliver on promise.
Any issues with politics or conflict? I mean, this is an area of the world that has been known to have elements of corruption, elements of political interference. Has there been any issue with that regard?
So the cool thing for us, or that's an easy piece to answer, because we are working under a brand like Orange or MTN. So we don't need to go and leave brown envelope or something like this, because we're dealing with companies that have a really good governance. So this is case closed, so we're good on this time. The political, or I would say crisis situation that some of those countries go through, what happened to technology or telecommunication during those times? It's more usage, so the revenue grows. So it's COVID revenue. Every time you have crisis or something like this, telecom is like utility. You need this. It's a basic need for human being. So when the situation is not perfect, people communicate more. That's it. And we benefit from that.
You know what? We benefit from that. And that has really broadly been highlighted. I'm going to say, like, you in the last couple of years through COVID-19, the need for information, connectivity to stay. And for those who didn't have it, the divide between the haves and the have-nots grew so exponentially, which brings us back to the altruistic piece of this, which I think is so very important. Like you just said, it's basically a human right now to be connected in this way. FutureCom 2022. What's that?
So every single continent have its, I would say, telecom show, a yearly telecom show that is one of the most important. For Latin America, it's FutureCom in Sao Paulo in Brazil. So it's an untapped market for us. up to now. Our CTO and our VP Business Development are going to be there to test the water. We already entertain some opportunity in that part of the world, Colombia, Argentina, also Brazil, that has open spectrum to connect rural Amazon. So we are going to be there to test the water with our disruptive business model. But not only the business model, our technology suits pretty well some of those regions that need to be connected. So I suspect that there could be some success coming out of Latin America, which is part of our 5-year model too, to have 2 continents cover, and Latin America is the second continent to be connected by us.
It's a fascinating story. Okay, so Nuran Wireless, if you're keeping track here while you're tuned into First Glance with Jody Vance, Nuran, N-U-R-A-N, Wireless, Nuran Wireless. NUR is the stock symbol on the Canadian exchange, and President and CEO Francis Létourneau is with us. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Me, I come from a telecom background. I come from Quebec City. I was born here. Across the river, by the way, in Lévis or Lévis, that we say in French. But I was born and raised by a father that worked in the telecom space, and I'm back here. So he was an engineer working in the fiber optic connectivity. He connected the east of Canada through fiber optic. He was managing the entire network. So I jumped onto this, and I stayed in the telecom space since then.
So if somebody wants to find out more about Nuran Wireless, where do they go? What's your website?
It's nuranwireless.com, as simple as that.
And you're available if people have further questions about what's involved, if they want to take their hard-earned money and invest it in NUR?
You can go direct to me or to Frank Candido. In every PR, you have my telephone number, you have our email address. If you want to do like broad requests, you go on info or investor@nuranwireless.com. We welcome your questions, and we will be happy to tell you a bit more about us and where we're going.
I thought you were going to say happy to connect. Connectivity is your game.
Okay, marketing team. So we need to
happy to connect.
That. Exactly.
Put it on the t-shirt. Just give me a little bit of credit. I'm just happy to help here. I think this is a fantastic initiative, and certainly you've represented it in a way that's consumable for somebody who's looking for a solid investment, looking forward to the future, plus having some heart and soul and really wanting to change the world for the better. I thank you for your time today and look forward to the next chance we get to chat.
Thank you very much, Jody.